Hi guys, welcome back. So let's go through these teams for Wales versus Ireland. A few surprises in there. Let's start with Wales as the home team. Front row is looking more experienced. Wyn Jones, Thomas Francis as the props. When I picked my Wales side, I hadn't picked Thomas Francis. You guys pretty much pointed out straight away that I should have, and I think I probably agree with you in hindsight. So Wyn Jones, Ken Owens, Thomas Francis, the best front row I think they can put out at the moment. And then we've got Beard returning in the second row. Now I'm still not overly convinced that Beard is a world-class second row, but he's still young in second row terms, so let's give him a chance here. Alongside Alan Wyn-Jones, of course, returning from a knee injury, so again with age, not on his side. Plenty of eyes will be on him to see how he performs. I mean, he always gives 100%. It's just how good that 100% is, especially compared to what he has done in the past. But, still, it's a big front row, big front five. And Wales, this whole pack screams that they don't want to be humiliated like they were last time they played against Ireland. This is not particularly a pack for the future as such. This is a pack not to be beaten by Ireland, especially physically. In the back row, we've got the return of Dan Lydiate, incredibly physical. We know what his tackling's like. He's probably even beefier than he was last time he played for Wales. Not the youngest, of course. It's not the youngest back row at all, but like I mentioned, this is a physical pack put together, to beat Ireland. So Lydiate, Tipuric and Faletau, very experienced, very balanced as well. You've got your hard man in Lydiate, you've got your ball player in Tipuric, and then you've got your all-rounder in Faletau. It really is a nicely balanced back row, probably better than Ireland's actually. Into the backs, we finally get Thomas Williams back at 9, and in my channel, in your comments, everyone pretty much agrees that Thomas Williams is probably the guy for the future, and it looks like Pivac agrees because he's straight back in over Davis and others. Bigger obviously continues at 10. Now, the wingers, it looks like Adams, obviously not being able to play for 2 games for his protocol breach, has let in Amos. Maybe North was always going to play in the centres with Jonathan Davis not being quite right. So I'm sure Amos's place would have been Adams. But Amos benefits. He's been playing well anyway. Then we've got Zammit and Halfpenny as the back three. And then in the centres, Johnny Williams continues. No surprise, he played so well last year. But then George North is the guy they go to at 13 instead of Tompkins or Watkin. Now, North is a good ball carrier. He's a powerful ball carrier who could be effective at 13. Is his passing up to, international 13 standard, world class? No. Kicking? No. General game awareness? Probably not his strong suit. So he could be very effective. He could be found out. I'm not massively comfortable with it, but I can kind of see why. They've really gone for a physical team against Ireland. I think that's clear. But let me know what you think of that centre partnership. Everyone will be watching Rhys Zammit to see how he goes. He really looks like one of the first names on the team sheet in the back three. The replacement front row, not quite as strong, I'd say, as Ireland's. Indeed, Jones and Brown. And Rowlands as well. Then we've got Navidi coming back, which is great news. Another physical back rower who could come on. So definitely a much stronger back row that's available to Wales, certainly physically, than the end of last year. Davis drops to the bench, Sheedy covering 10, and Tompkins as the replacement back is interesting. A specialist 13. I know he can play 12, but really a specialist 13 for Wales. Just kind of hinting at they could replace North or move North if they think it's not going well for them. Anyway, let me know what you think of that Welsh team. Do you think it's good enough to beat Ireland? I'd say it's probably definitely more physical than it was last year. Are they going to back off their ball playing, or are they going to stick to the Pivac way? Because one of the problems they came unstuck last year is they were clearly thinking about playing their new structures, and sometimes they got confused, and then that just takes your eye off the ball of other areas like defence. So they should be more au fait with what they're doing, and I wonder if they tighten up a bit. We'll see. On to Ireland. Let's have a look here. We'll start with the pack again. Front rows as expected, as I'd picked, Healy, Herring and Porter. Some of you guys had picked Furlong to start, but I think with the lack of rugby he's had, that's fine to have him on the bench. And the front row replacements for Ireland on the bench look really strong. So maybe later in the game we could see Ireland actually getting on top in the scrum. In the second row, interestingly though, they've gone for Tyg Byrne instead of Henderson. Henderson on the bench. And I wonder if that's a response to not having Doris available through injury. If you had, you know, a more beefy second row in there potentially, and then you don't have the ball playing of Doris, the athleticism of Doris. So maybe Byrne wouldn't have played if Doris was available. I don't know. But as they bold of them, they're going for Byrne. He's in great form. He offers something different alongside James Ryan there, of course. Then how they rejig the back row, well, it's not how they would have wanted it. Doris really adds perfect balance to this back row. So they've moved Amani back to 6, Standard to 8, Van der Fleer to 7. It's a good, hard-working back row. Is it the most exciting? Probably not. I'd say Wales probably have the edge in the back row actually, with Doris not there, but then they've picked Tyg Byrne to maybe even that up. Anyway, let me know who you think's got the best pack actually between the two. Like I said, on the bench for the pack, Kelleher, Kilcoyne and Furlong, especially those two props, very powerful replacements. Henderson, like I mentioned, and Connors, another brilliant defensive back rower on the bench for Ireland. Let's look at the back line. Murray and Sexton obviously starting. Gibson Park's on the bench for Murray. I probably would have preferred Casey, but in this first game, you can see why they've gone for Gibson Park, who's had a few more caps. The good news for Ireland certainly is their best centre partnership is fit and together at last. It's been ages before they've been together, both been together and fit, Henshaw and Ringrose. That's a big positive, especially considering Wales are playing North in midfield, who's not used to being there. Can Ireland get, you know, heads up in the midfield there and cause them some problems? I think they'll definitely try. In the back three, we've got Lowe back on the wing. His first cap was stellar. I really raved about him. His second cap against England wasn't quite as good. It's only his third cap. He's definitely got potential. I like his skills. I like his ball carrying. Of course, it's his work around the pitch that people often say is not his strong suit, so he needs to improve that. Someone who is a hard worker is Keith Earls. Stays, you know, on top of his game even though he's into his 30s. I haven't seen a particularly drop off from him yet, so he's still there. And Keenan at 15 is a very silky 15. I'm just trying to wonder, is he a world-class 15? Is he the 15 Ireland need, you know, to make that step up in World Cups, etc.? I'm not sure, but I do like how he operates. He's very easy on the eye, the way he moves and links play, takes high balls and all that. So he could certainly link the play. But we'll see how that goes. And then, like I said, on the bench, Gibson Park covers a 9, Billy Burns 10, and then Lama is your kind of perfect backs replacement who could play anywhere in the back three and centres indeed, and adds a bit of speed off the bench. Anyway, Wales versus Ireland. Those are the two teams. It definitely looks like Wales have beefed up their pack. It looks like a little bit more short-termism potentially from Wales, and I understand that. They need to get wins on the board. They need to not be bullied. Very tight here, especially with Doris out. You know, I was moving towards Ireland being fairly clear favourites, but it's a lot closer now. It'll be a great game. Great first up game for those guys. Let me know what you think of the teams, what changes you'd have made and how you see this game going. And I will catch you next time.